Hi folks, and welcome back to Tam Stamps. Over the next 3 days, we are going to be making the 3 cards from this month, May 2024's Father's Day pack. And let's see what they have inside for us. This is a nice blue-gray ink, which I really like, and made a note to get a little bit more for myself for some other projects. Then, of course, we have the stamps for this month. Father's Day, you're the best. That seems to be the theme, along with wood seems to be our theme this month as well. Let's go a little bit further and see what we can find out here. All right, there's our packet. And well, let's see what these cards look like. There, we got a picture of them, and here's what they're going to look like when they are finished. So, let's start with number 1. We're going to need 3 stamps. 1, 2, 3. We're going to be using the blue-gray ink. We're going to have some adhesive dots. We're also going to have a very delicate punch-out, foam hexagons, a not-so-delicate punch-out, our base card, and then of course our front cover highlight. So the first place we're going to start is going to be our main punch out here, which is going to have our card's message on it. And this is not too bad. It's basically a large chevron, or if you're a baseball fan, it is going to look a little bit like home plate. There we go. Make sure I get the right side up. I wasn't too sure about this ink when we first opened the package, but once I got it on paper, I became really impressed with it. I really like the color a lot. And you are the best. And hopefully that's what you think of your dad, is he's the best. And that is our first stamp and punch out of the day. Now this next one is very delicate. As you'll see, it has a lot of intricate leafing on it, and I had some difficulty with this first one as I could not see where it was attached to the mother card, and I didn't want to just push everything through and hope. So I was very gently pulling on the leaf itself and then pulling on the mother card, trying to find where it was attached. I couldn't see it, I think maybe because of the dark color. Once I flipped it over though, I could start to see where they were attached. And it turns out that each one of these fronds is attached by one little leaflet. And you have to kind of find that little leaflet that's attached and just give it a quick tug away, and it comes away pretty quickly. Then you also need to be careful, as you see here toward the end of this, that you need to make sure that you're not just ripping it through the mother card when you take the whole thing away, because it kind of acts like a little net and it wants to grab all those little leaf fronds that you just separated. So be careful there, and if you are, I'm sure you're going to pull it out in one piece as I did here. And if you enjoy these videos, please make sure to click the like button and subscribe to the channel, as it does help the algorithm make sure that you see our videos when they come out. So now we're ready to stamp the leaf frond highlight. And the reason I'm putting it onto a little scrap cardboard base here is the fact that the stamp we're using is not really intended to match up with the leaves itself. It's a bunch of little dots which give depth to the leaf. So we're going to be going inside, you know, some of the ink's going to be getting inside the little fronds. And yes, the ink is water-based, so I could easily just wipe it up afterwards. But my dad once taught me don't work to make work. So if I can avoid making a mess while I'm working, I do. And this was my way of avoiding having to clean my work pad when I was done. And I've zoomed in here a little bit because it is a little bit difficult when you're not in looking at the card and holding it up to see the black dot highlight, or actually the blue dot highlights on it. And again, with this ink, I was a little concerned that I wasn't going to be able to see the highlights, but once I started putting it on, it was much easier for me to see. Now, I found out that I could stamp or ink the stamp once, and then kind of use the front part of the stamp to do one little frond, and the back part of the stamp to do another little frond if I rock it just the right way. I don't know if I saved any time, but I felt more accomplished as a stamper that I did that. And I think one more stamp here and we will be done with that guy. The next step is going to be putting the adhesive on the back of these two guys. And you'll see I'm going to flip them both over here in a minute. Now, technically you're going to see me flip one of them over. And then my brain went completely to sleep, because I put adhesive dots onto the chevron. It's supposed to get hexagons, the foam hexagons. And then I realized that mistake and proceeded to put adhesive dots on the front of the leaf highlight, not the card facing back. And you'll see here I got half awake because I did figure out that I needed the hexagons on the chevron title card. And I managed to get them on there. However, half of my brain was still asleep because I looked at that and went, oh, that's fine. I'm ready to go. I am rocking and rolling. All right, so let's bring in the card base. And I think this is a really good looking card base. The wood grain blue is going to really be a great background for the cover, which is sort of a wood grain pattern, and then we have the negative highlighted trees and mountains on the front, which really bring everything out and give it a depth that I'm really happy with. And if you haven't seen my videos before, this is what I do with the extra covers. I make a template out of it, so I know that I just need to marry my actual because now the only thing I have to do is marry up my actual front of card highlight with the extra that I've put up there, and I'll know that it's centered and don't have to worry about being off a little bit. If you have a way that you do that, it's a little bit different from mine, let me know about it in the comments. And here I finally figured out the adhesive dots, and I'm getting them off pretty easily and onto the card with my fingers. A little bit later in this video, I'll realize that using my fingernail instead of my tweezers is easier also to get the covers off of the little adhesive dots. And there we go. He can be taught. Now, I've heard tales that some crafters have spent an entire lifetime and have never been able to master the adhesive dots, and I feel like I might be amongst that group. And you can see how well this little template works here when I bring up the card. It is virtually centered on that front half, and that's very easy. Now, the second half of my brain now wakes up. I've got that on the wrong side. So, back to the dots, back to more dot practice. I'm now almost average in the pantheon of adhesive dot users. And now the challenge is to find a place for this that doesn't hang over the top or the fold side too much so that it gets mashed up by the envelope when you put it in there. And I didn't want to come down any farther because I thought it would obscure the mountains of the trees in the foreground. And I think I found a pretty good place for it. Now the only thing left to do is to put our main message up here. And I almost dropped that right there, which would have been tragic because it would have literally stuck wherever it fell to, and I would not have been able to get it up without tearing the card. And we are ready to get our message out to the person we send this to, that they are indeed the best. And that's the card completed. Now, in this month's package, I don't think they've done it at any other point this year. We're actually going to be stamping the envelope, the mailing envelope. And I think this is very cool because in keeping with our pattern or our theme this month, it is wood grain is the pattern for the card. And then we're going to be stamping on 2 trees in the bottom left-hand side of this, which I think is a nice highlight. And once again, back to the ink pad. And one of the things I've learned about this ink and these stamps as we moved on to the next couple of cards is that normally I don't like to put a lot of pressure on that stamp because it'll potentially get ink into places that are not supposed to get stamped. But these stamps seem to take a lot more ink than I was used to, and it looks better if you stamp them a little bit more fully and a little bit more pressure on them. So just something to take away, and you'll see that over the next couple of videos. All right, there's card number 1 and envelope number 1. Thank you for stopping by Tam Stamps, and you have a great day.